It started like any other Friday morning, quiet, crisp, and still. The pine trees surrounding my lakeside cabin stood perfectly straight, their reflections rippling in the calm water. I had planned to spend the weekend alone, enjoying the silence I'd fought for after months of HOA drama. But peace never lasts long when Karen is involved. She wasn't just any HOA president. Karen was the type who measured grass blades, left citations for mailbox height, and fined people for having garden gnomes. Her control stretched far beyond her authority. When she found out my cabin sat just outside HOA lines, she still claimed it affected community standards and demanded I make changes. A few months ago, she fined me for non-compliant exterior aesthetics, saying the wood finish on my cabin didn't match the HOA's beige color scheme. I politely reminded her that my property wasn't under HOA control. She didn't take that well. After that came the letters, 3 in total, accusing me of everything. Saying the wood finish on my cabin didn't match the HOA's beige color scheme. I politely reminded her that my property wasn't under HOA control. She didn't take that well. After that came the letters, 3 in total, accusing me of everything. From harboring unregistered animals to breaching privacy laws with outdoor cameras. I ignored them all. What I didn't expect was how far she would go to prove her power. What Karen didn't know was that my cabin wasn't just a retreat. The county sheriff's department use it for tactical SWAT training drills. That particular weekend, they were inside conducting exercises. I left early that morning to get food supplies, leaving the team behind reviewing maps and plans. I was gone less than an hour when Karen decided to strike. According to my neighbor, she arrived in her spotless white SUV with HOA President printed across the door. 2 security guards followed her. She stepped out, clipboard in hand, and declared that she was conducting an inspection. The guards hesitated, warning her that my property wasn't part of the HOA. She waved them off, insisting it was within community visual boundaries and therefore subject to rules. She spotted my new padlock on the gate and frowned. He thinks he can block me out? Not happening, she muttered, pulling bolt cutters from the back of her vehicle. Inside the cabin, the SWAT team heard metal clanging. One operative looked up from the table and said, "We've got meant outside the perimeter." Their team leader, Sergeant Hill, stood up and checked the window. "Who's out there?" she asked. "Civilian SUV, says HOA," replied one officer through binoculars. Hill frowned. "Let's keep this controlled. Maintain positi." Outside, Karen cut the lock and proudly pushed open the gate. "Take pictures," she ordered the guards. "This debris and those logs by the porch are code violations." The guards exchanged nervous glances. She stomped toward the cabin door, knocked ply and shouted, "This is the HOA. You are in violation and must comply immediately." When no one answered, she grew bolder. "Open up, or I'll contact the county about your defiance." Inside, Sergeant Hill quietly ordered, "Masks on. No sudden move." 2 officers positioned themselves near the door, prepared to handle whatever happened next. Karen banged again. "I'm coming in," she yelled and turned the doorknob, only to find it locked. "Step aside," she barked to the guards. "We'll handle this." One guard hesitated. "Ma'am, this feels wrong. This is trespassing." Karen snapped, "I am the law here." The doorknob turned from the inside. Slowly, the cabin door creaked open, revealing 2 figures in full tactical gear. Karen froze, eyes wide. "Ma'am," said one of the SWAT officers calmly, "step back. This is an active law enforcement site." She stuttered, "Excuse me? What do you mean law enforcement?" Sergeant Hill stepped into view, helmet off. "Sheriff's Department. We're conducting a raining operation with authorization. You've just broken onto a police site." Karen's mouth fell open. The color drained from her face. "That's impossible. This property is part of the HOA." Hill kept her tone professional. "Negative. This land is county-owned and privately leased. You've interfered with an active operation." The guards backed away instantly. "We told her not to cut the lock," one whispered. Karen turned red. Don't just stand there. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding. Hill nodded to an officer. Document everything. Cameras flashed as they photographed Karen, the broken lock, and her bolt cutters. Just then, my truck rolled into the driveway. I stepped out, taking in the scene, SWAT officers, HOA security, and CA. Aaron standing like a statue. What's going on? I asked, feigning innocence. Karen spun toward me. You didn't tell me you had armed men inside. I smiled. Didn't think I needed to. They're here with full permission. Sergeant Hill confirmed it. Mr. Walker, we've secured the situation. No harm done. Karen looked like she might explode. This is harassment. You planned this. I shrugged. No, Karen. You just trespassed during a SWAT training exercise. You brought this on yourself. One of the guards muttered. We really tried to stop her. Karen's voice cracked. You can't do this to me. I was performing an inspection. Hill handed her a report slip. You'll need to explain that to the sheriff, ma'am. Karen. Clipboard slipped from her hands, papers scattering in the wind. The officers went back inside, clearly amused. One whispered, best training drill we've ever had. I looked at Karen. Next time, maybe knock politely. She glared at me. The HOA will not tolerate this kind of disrespect. I chuckled. The HOA can't tolerate mailboxes being the wrong color. You'll be fine. A few days later, the HOA called an emergency meeting. Karen tried to defend herself, saying she was acting in the community's best interest. But the sheriff's report, with photos of her cutting the lock, left no room for excuses. The board suspended her indefinitely. Word spread fast. Neighbors laughed about it for weeks. One of the HOA security officers even sent me a no's best interest. But the sheriff's report, with photos of her cutting the lock, left no room for excuses. The board suspended her indefinitely. Word spread fast. Neighbors laughed about it for weeks. One of the HOA security officers even sent me a note. Thank you for not pressing charges. She got exactly what she deserved. I framed it and hung it in my hallway. Months passed, and things finally settled. Karen moved out, claiming the community was toxic and ungrateful. The new HOA president seems much more reasonable. My weekends are finally peaceful again. No more warnings, no more pink blazers, no more unwanted inspections. Sometimes, as I sit on the porch watching the lake shimmer at sunset, I think about that day and laugh. All it took to end the HOA harassment was one stubborn woman, a pair of bolt cutters, and a SWAT team waiting behind my front door.